Welcome to the Syn Wagon.
Syn Wagon.
Yes, into it. It's Jessica here with my two boss ladies.
Tara Shannon.
Sam Stone.
In case anyone's wondering who's listening, I just point at them so they yell their names. And we're the syndicate here on the Syn Wagon podcast talking about the music industry and giving our opinions. But in the end, just saying, do what you want. Unsolicited opinions.
It's unsolicited technically right now. But if you chose to listen to it,
solicited
it. What's the right way to say that?
It's solicited opinions because we're giving it to each other, and technically if you're listening to it, you have decided to listen to our solicited opinions.
I suppose we do give each other unsolicited opinions all the time,
though. Oh, we do. Yes,
for sure.
But I feel like we just have the conscious.
It's the glue that holds us together.
We have the conscious agreement.
What we think when we don't want to hear it.
Yes,
you need those people in your life, though.
Yes,
you know,
you need that one person that no matter what's happening, you talk about always sides, or not sides, but gives the what is it called?
Tell us how you really feel.
Tell us how you really feel. What's it called when you look the devil's advocate?
Oh yeah, you love that about me.
That's the Sam Stone way, is the devil's advocate. And I was like, girl, right now we're just mad.
Don't give me any other sides.
I'm always
I don't care.
Look at it from their perspective.
Yeah.
She's like, maybe next week I will, but right now I just want to be angry.
I'm mad. So now I just come in and be like, listen, we're just mad at this person. I don't want to think about, well, what if they grew up this way? I don't care. We're mad at this person.
No compassion, no empathy.
Just let me be mad.
No holistic approach.
Let me be mad. Be mad with me. And then once I've cooled down, yes, I will look at that and be like, you know what? There's really no reason to be mad. Everything's okay. I'd like to share a little fun fact about today.
On this day.
Years ago.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The On This Day segment. Yeah. Look at you, Sam Stone. You were right. I'm a big eyes.
Love it.
Yeah. On this day in 2001, facing a flurry of lawsuits, the file sharing service Napster shuts down, but not before transforming the music industry away from physical products like CDs towards digital downloads. I wanted to bring that up because we all know the Napster, LimeWire. A lot of young artists who are coming up.
Some people listening may not know what that is even.
Exactly. But basically before there were streaming services like Spotify
and Apple
Music, Amazon Music, all of that. If you wanted to download something, you usually would purchase it off of iTunes, or you would illegally download the streams off of Napster or LimeWire.
It was files, actually.
It was files.
And it was well before iTunes.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. It was the beginning of the end.
Oh.
Like it was
when
sharing.
People started like ripping CDs,
That's
basically.
right. And then file sharing.
Yes.
And it originally, did that one start on a campus too? I can't remember. I get Facebook and Napster confused.
I'm not sure.
It was like I was share music files between your friends. You know, that's how it started.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And, beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end.
Yep.
I know, those physical CDs.
It's basically when like music first started going digital in that sense outside of like,
and the technology was moving faster than law.
Yeah.
So law couldn't keep up with the technology. Like, I mean, I don't often, I try not to say terrible things about major labels all the time. I try to be,
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I try. I really do, because it's really not fair and it's not right. And they can be wonderful partners. But I can imagine being, an executive at a major label when this is all happening. So imagine you sell bottled water and everybody buys your bottled water, and it's the only place to get it is through you and your competitors who all sell bottled water. And all of a sudden, everybody has access to a fresh running mountain stream of water in their backyard, and they never have to buy bottled water again.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your entire, financial structure is based on selling this thing, and all of a sudden everybody has access to it for free? Like, that would be terrifying. And it imploded.
And you've invested so much money into this bottled water.
Totally.
But with the projection of how you're going to recoup it, and now all of a sudden your recouping is gone.
It's
It's devastating. Like,
Yeah.
did it need to happen? We could have a whole podcast about that.
Yes.
But still, I can see how panicked it, like how
gosh,
awful,
yes.
and it really imploded the financial structure of the music business, and it had to be rebuilt in a different way.
And it's still rebuilding and changing, and it's still in a space where it's trying to figure out how to make money,
and it's still in a place where artists have lost out really like the most
and continue
to
lose out continuously.
You know, the major labels from a business perspective are doing what they need to do to survive, you know, and protect their investors.
They've turned it around. They're back. Like I think I'd have to look it up, but the first quarter that they actually reported earnings again was I don't know. I can't even quote it now. I have to look it up. But I remember seeing it on the news and going, "Oh, here we go. It's actually the turnaround now. We're going to turn around. They're going to start seeing their earnings again." But so you said it was 2001?
2001
that it was shut down.
21 that it was shut down.
Yeah, this wasn't the start when
So
it was
20
actually
some years
shut
ago.
down.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. I was looking at, like, when I started looking up these facts, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so old. Like, I'm thinking about, like, what songs came out on this day, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That felt like 3 years ago, but that was 20 years ago.
It was
That
wild.
was a
I even
historical
remember I
thing.
was pretty young then, but I remember I personally would like refuse to download music. Cause I was like, even at that age, coming from like an artist mind, I was like, I was arguing with my family, you know, and I'd be like, no, you know, we're, you know, if you're downloading their song and not buying this person's CD, like this artist's CD, like they're the ones losing out, et cetera, et cetera. But my sister would like make me CDs and like put them in my car, and I would still listen.
But you were the
Exactly.
one doing it, so
Like,
it was okay.
I would lecture my whole family about it, and I would say I'd never do it, but if someone gave them to me, I would not
I'd
ask
be like, well,
questions.
it's here. She already did it.
She already did it.
It's
Devil's
not
advocate.
I
Like,
just-
she's giving
yeah.
it to me. She did all this
Oh,
work.
it's not. I think it's funny looking back because I was like
know.
12 or 13. I was like on my high horse about it all, which like I'm not saying that was a wrong opinion, you know, because it's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
You know?
it was a great
I remember
opinion.
lecturing my
But
kids.
you know, that's
about
just
that.
where everything
Yeah.
was going at that time.
Remember Jordan would have been, so he's my third oldest, so I don't know, he would have been maybe, oh God, I have to do math, but anyways, he was young. He would have been maybe 6 or 7 when that was
that
all
sounds
going
about
down.
right,
Yeah, and so, but he loved music, and I remember him and his older brothers getting into this and me being furious and being like, you cannot be on LimeWire or do any of that stuff. Like I will give you the money or the allowance to buy music
buy it.
because so it was always a hot topic in our house.
Yep. And here we are.
And here we are today.
Kind of
all
like
streaming.
same, but different.
Same, but different situations. Oh, well, yeah, times, how they change. I'm excited to see what the next 20 years brings us in the music industry, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting considering where we're going right now with streaming and stuff and
digital content.
Exactly.
And just
So,
content creation in general.
I'm excited to see. Okay, so
I can tell you artists will probably still not be paid what they're owed.
oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Some
20
things,
years from now.
some things never change.
Some things are, they just last through the ages.
Yep, never changing. We are really going into festival season, but why talk about what's happening when we can talk about all the things that are coming our way, aka conferences. So right now we're going into festivals and playing shows, but we're also gearing up and getting ready to conference and the whole conference season that really happens September to like end of November, right? So to anyone out there who doesn't know what a conference is and a music conference, it's basically a gathering of musicians and anyone who really works in the arts. So venue owners, festival directors, artistic directors, booking agents, management, house concerts, all of that. Basically, people who like make guitars and instruments come together in a certain location, and there'll be some panels put on by these conferences talking about different things in the music industry. There'll also be a lot of the time showcases, so where artists can go and showcase their art and their show to festival directors, management, to agents, depending on what you're looking for. So I thought we would talk about how to get ready for these conferences. So I know both of you have done a fair share of conferencing and in different genres. So I'd love to talk about that too. But let's just start out. So you've signed up for your first conference. What are things that you should be like gearing up and getting ready?
Just I can feel myself just at the mention of the word conference. I'm glazing over. I'm just like, oh my God, another conference.
They can be great, but yeah, they become a little bit grueling.
Oh my gosh.
And like, you got to buckle up for these things. You want to try to get there rested because there's no time for sleeping, really, eating, resting, none of that.
Yeah.
It's like you get there and then you just go for it for anywhere from 2 to like 7 days straight, depending on the conference. One thing, just maybe let's back up for a second. How to decide maybe if you're ready to go to a conference in the first place.
Yes.
Because these conferences cost money. They're a pretty big investment, especially for independent artists. So yeah, Tara, how do you know? What are things you should be asking yourself if I see the super cool conference come up on my socials or my email, some promo? Like, how do I know if I should like invest the money in that conference?
Right. That's a great question. And so I think the answer is yes to that in many different levels. So because your reason to go can be different. And I think there's a lot of valid reasons to go. So if you're just starting out and you don't really have your network and you're just, kind of developing your act, maybe you're still Smile and you haven't figured out your queen yet. Maybe you're in that level. I think it's really valuable to go for the networking. So your network is so important. And your network is more than just trying to connect with quote unquote industry people. And you know how I am about using that term because the true industry people are the music creators. Everybody's an industry person, but the language around this is like industry people, delegates, and then artists.
Even a music listener is technically
is an industry person.
Because what are we all doing it
exactly.
for?
We're all part of the industry.
Exactly.
Yeah. So your network can be that, meeting people that potentially you could start building relationships with, but it's really your peers. That is the most important part. That's, learning from each other music creators, artists, watching their artistry, seeing, how people sort of ahead of you in their development, how they do their staging, how do they put their showcase together, having coffee with somebody, meeting people, co-writers. I mean, that part I think is excellent. So if you're not ready to showcase per se yet, I would go to a conference to network and just soak up how the conferences work. And I would definitely do that at least once before you try to showcase at a conference, because it's going to lower your stress so much if you just know how that conference works and you understand the flow and the rhythm of it, so that when you do get your chance to showcase that, you have at least one under your belt. So knowing your why, what's your why are you going? And then the cost is really something to consider also, because some of them can get really expensive and there's travel costs and the cost to be a part of it. But I also wouldn't let the cost deter you.
Yes.
Because try not to see it as money just going out the window, but really an investment in yourself and in the connections that you make.
And
so
it's
know your
professional
why.
development, really.
It is. It's professional development. And in every career, whether you're a teacher or a lawyer or whatever, there's going to be professional development. So budget money aside for certain conferences. And then I would do your research to know which ones are the best fit for you at your stage. Like Canadian Music Week is awesome, super fun time, it's great, but that's CMW and it happens summertime-ish. I can't remember when it happens.
I think
June this year.
Yes,
With
June.
the pandemic, everything's been screwed up because they all got shuffled.
They all
Normally you could say
it's like last year they were in a certain conference was in April because they were catching up from the year before, but this year it's back to its regular schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I have no
But
idea.
like, if you're starting out and you don't have a fan base, or you have one song out, CMW is going to be a fun time. It's going to be great, but it's so big. and it is the major industry in Canada. So it may not be the best place to start.
And it does all genres,
Yes.
right? So it's massive, but it's not just focused on like a specific genre or style of music. It's literally everything Canadian music. So that can be very overwhelming as well, because you might be meeting a lot of great people, but they might only book metal or they might only do this, right? So definitely researching the conferences and starting with something that is more local, right? So if you're a folk artist, you have Folk Music Ontario. If you're a country artist, like there's the CMAOs, the Country Music Association of Ontario, which they have one for every province as well. They have some in the US. There's like the biggest folk music conference in North America is Folk Alliance International. Now I started there, and I will say that was not the best move, because it was definitely a way more expensive conference. Than
Like you went to
Folk
FAI
Music.
before you ever went to FMO.
Yes. So I went
really?
to Folk Alliance first. And I feel like it helped in a way going to folk music when I went finally to Folk Music Ontario. It was a benefit of I did the massive one. So this is like I can comprehend it a bit more. But I was very unprepared for Folk Alliance. I had no idea what I was getting myself into as a musician there too. And it was very just like deer in headlights me the whole time, right? Where I feel like if I would have went to Folk Music Ontario first, gotten a feel for how conferences really work, and again, depending on your genre, changes the whole atmosphere of a conference as well. Then going to Folk Alliance, I would have definitely been way more prepared. I would have had so many more things ready, like different business cards, like the QR code links, like for a while they were doing posters, like there's so much there. So definitely researching and starting local is a really great way to get to know the people these are the people who are in your markets, right? These are the people who are working similar markets to you. They're not just your peers in music, but they're also your peers in kind of location to where you will be building music too.
Yeah.
And it's a small community, any music community. The entire music community really is small.
Yes.
And then when you start breaking it down by genre or geographical location, it gets even smaller. And those people really will be your people. Like you want to have friends in.
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
And I swear like 90% of your opportunities as an artist are going to come from a situation like this.
Oh yeah.
You know, or you've gone to a conference, you've met somebody. So let's say I'm at a conference as an industry person, as a label person, and we have a conversation, and it's a good conversation. It's just in passing, and I know your name, and I know what kind of music you do, and basically where you live.
And you went and followed them on social.
That's right.
After.
Just because, yeah, exactly. So now you're in my data bank in my brain, right? So fast forward 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I'm having coffee with somebody else, or I'm at some other event or something, and somebody's like, hey, I'm looking for a folk artist that plays the banjo in the Ottawa region, and your name has been filed in my brain as folk artist who plays. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I know somebody. Let me look it up and I'll get back to you. Like that is how
Exactly.
90% of the music business works. It's all like conversation and recommendation and people kind of filtering, creating opportunities. So for that reason, the conference is amazing. So the steps are do your research. Okay. Figure out, which one you're going to, which one makes sense for you with where you're at in the game. And you could be going for different reasons. Like you said, you were really excited about going to FII. It's very exciting. These big conferences are super fun. Yeah. It makes you feel like you're a real artist, and there's like,
and it can be really inspiring.
It can be so
you
inspiring.
leave there being like, I have so much to do. I have so many songs to write.
Oh,
I need to improve all my assets. I have all these ideas. So-and-so's performance really inspired me. You get introduced just as a music lover.
Yeah.
It can be great. You get
100%.
introduced to all this new music.
Yeah. So there's really there's no wrong way to do it. But, if you're overstretching yourself and this is the difference. The difference is going into conferences thinking like a business person, or going into conferences as thinking like not a fan, but like not thinking like business, like just like it's gonna be fun, like travel,
Yes.
like in the travel category or the going to a show or excitement category, which is fine, which is great. We spend money on vacations and traveling and stuff, no problem there. But when you start thinking like a business person and you're gonna maximize the opportunities for you, you're with that focused energy, you're gonna create more momentum for yourself.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And
yeah.
hopefully
That's
you
really
will
the difference.
also have fun in the process.
Yes, totally.
Like you're going to have fun either
Business is
way,
fun.
but it's either going to be like, it's either going to be like chaos fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Or also just
strategic.
Fun.
I have a plan. I feel good about that plan. And I had a
Yes.
great time. you know?
Absolutely. So do your research, know your why, what are your goals in going. And if your goal is just like chill and relax, I'm just going to have fun, soak it all up, take it in, see what it's about, no problem. That's a great goal. That's wonderful. If your
Exactly.
goal is, okay, we're really missing a piece of our puzzle. Like we need a US booking agent. I'm missing that piece of my team. Then you would want to go to a conference where that's going to attract agents from the States that could potentially be matches for you. You would want to be aiming for a showcase, and then you'd want to work the showcase and invite the delegates who are there to come. So that's all the prep work.
Yeah.
And then there's the surviving
Well, yeah.
conference.
Which I think one of the biggest things like I've learned, I kind of go into one thing I like to do going into conferences is I like to look at their schedule. There's usually like at least a month before for most conferences, or at least a couple weeks before the conference happens. There's a schedule that's put out that has all the panels, what the panels are about, the showcases, all that kind of stuff. I like to look through that and see, okay, what are panels I'm really interested in being at? What do I want to learn from this? Are there certain delegates or industry professionals I want to meet who are doing panels? So that's a great way to get in and be able to talk to them after. And I'll kind of schedule that out. And then I will allow myself the time to be okay if none of this actually happens. Because that's one thing I've learned.
I feel like that's a recent lesson for
That's
you.
a very recent lesson. I always think I've learned it, and then I go to a conference and I'm like, nope, still learning this one. Because conferences, you do kind of get there and your plan gets thrown out the window. You might run into someone and have a great conversation, and it's better to keep that going and keep that conversation going than be like, oh, I have a panel that I'm supposed to go to and run off, right? Because that relationship, it could be an artist you're talking to, an agent, a festival director, anyone that you're having these conversations with. And really that's what, like you were saying, Tara, like this business is made off of those conversations.
Yes, and learning to go with the flow. Like it's like have a loose plan that's really smart, have a blueprint.
Yes,
Yeah.
blueprint.
But be ready to go with the flow and build in kind of breathing spaces in your schedule to allow for organic things to happen. Like, it's funny because the people that I've met in conferences that I now still have a relationship with, it was like we were randomly sitting next to each other at the bar.
Yeah.
In between panels. Or, I went to get lunch and there was somebody sitting there having lunch. We strike up a conversation and lo and behold, we know 6 people in common. It's like that kind of rhythm of the whole thing is. So,
Yep.
so build in breathing spaces for yourself in your schedule. Wear comfortable clothes.
Oh my gosh.
shoes.
yes,
And comfortable shoes. You will do 45,000 steps in a day or whatever your watch tells you need to do.
Yes.
It is, you're going to walk a lot. So this is the tricky part because I love going to conferences, not as an artist.
Yeah.
When as an industry person, it's fantastic. I can wear whatever I want. When you're an artist though, you do need to have your artist flair about you.
all the time.
But find
because
a comfortable
to the point,
version of
you never know who you're going to run into when.
Yes.
We were even at a conference a couple months ago, and we were all sitting having dinner, and someone ran in, a sound guy that we met at a previous showcase window, came in and was like, somebody had to
Bailed,
drop
yeah.
out of their showcase spot. They bailed. Can somebody go now? And is someone ready? Does someone want the spot in 10, 15 minutes? And one of the artists at our table looking beautiful as ever, their artist self all the time, was like, yep, I just got to run up, get my guitar, I'll be right there. Got up, did the showcase, killed it. Was like ready to go for anything at any time.
Exactly.
And you have
never
to
know.
be like that.
Yeah.
Because you never know when those type of opportunities are there. Because you want to be available. Because now that sound man is going to, whenever he's talking, like if the conference management people, I don't know, director, thank you, conference director is like asking like who they liked, what was great about working with these people. Like he will not, that sound person is not going to forget what that artist did in the sense of jumping in ready to go
And being a pro.
and being a pro about it.
And those are the real people that you want to connect with.
Yes.
Like the industry people. I know I keep doing this, but it's great. And that's
Air
all
quotes
fantastic. Air
for
quotes
those
around
listening.
industry.
Yeah, for
Sorry,
everyone
you
listening, the doing this is she
air
keeps saying
quotes.
every time she says industry person. Air
Okay,
quotes.
so yeah, I know. I can't find another word. Once I find another word that makes sense, I'll just start using that. But the people that run the conferences, like first of all, you should always treat your sound people amazingly.
Yes.
Okay, so you should always be doing that regardless, not to get something in return. But it's the infrastructure of the conferences. It's those people who see everybody, right? And so when the director asks, who'd you like, or who'd you see, or who impressed you, or who was great to work with, like if you're a total terrible person to your sound guy,
An
trust
asshole.
me when I
If
tell
you're an
you.
asshole,
If
we're allowed to
that's why
swear
I was
on
like,
this.
can we swear?
You can swear. You can swear. If
If you're
an
a total asshole to your sound people, trust me when I tell you that will get back to organizers,
Yeah.
and it will limit your opportunities. So you want to be kind all the time, but it's the sound people, the volunteers,
The stage
managers that are running the
the
whole
lighting
thing.
techs,
Like they're
the unsung heroes.
totally, they're making it all happen.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if they're impressed by you or they feel a connection with what you do, they will talk about it.
Oh, exactly. And like I work at a entertainment venue, and the sound guys and the sound girls and the sound human beings that we work with, like the manager will always go and talk to them if there's a band that they've never like really heard of or played or worked with before. Like they'll go to the sound techs and be like, "Hey, have you worked with this person, or do you know this band? Like, what is your opinion on them?"
Yeah.
Right? Like they want that. So if you've been a dick and you were horrid to work with, like first off, when do we ever forget someone who is a dick to us? Like that's
Yeah,
like
it usually
the
sticks.
main thing we always remember.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna remember that
Yeah.
and they're gonna say no.
And that spills over into your party mode also.
Oh yes.
Yes, the party side of conferencing.
The party side of conferencing, which we all love. Like it's great. It's very social. There's very few times of the year where the industry can come together and hang out with each other.
For sure, because
yeah.
normally you're all
on the
playing
road.
on the same at the same time. You're either
Exactly.
you all play on Friday and Saturday nights, or
That's
you're
right.
all like touring in different places and
Yep.
missing each other. You don't get to go to each other's shows a lot.
No,
when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that social element is one of the things that, I love the most about the conference. You get to see
Yep.
people, and it's that touch point. So yes, so there's this social element of it. If you are an artist, you should always be professional. Always. Even in the party mode. So if you drink excessively and make a fool of yourself, and that becomes the chit chat of the conference, that will stick. It will stick with your name and when people have conversations about it. So I'm not saying don't drink or don't have a good time, but be mindful that you really should be professional at all times. There is no secret downtime really at a conference unless you're in your hotel room alone with your band.
Because a
Exactly.
talent buyer wants to know if okay, we're all at shows, we're on tour, you maybe like have a couple drinks after your show, whatever. If you can't keep yourself together at a conference, they're thinking, am I going to have to deal with like a belligerent artist potentially on tour who's like not going to make their call times and not going to show up. I'm going to have to be calling.
Yep.
It adds this whole other layer of stress. And that is immediately where their minds go. Even though like you might not be like that on the road at all and with your own shows. But if you're doing it at a conference,
It could cast doubt.
exactly.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
same with other artists too. you know, there's also lots of opportunity for like co-tours or co-bills and stuff when you meet artists at conferences, and other artists recognize that, and other artists as well.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And again, like, we're just scratching the surface of conferencing as your first time going to a conference, or really every time. Like, I feel like I need a pep talk on how to go to conferences every time I go to one, because it really is a different world. But from both of your opinions and experience going to conferencing, what is one thing of advice that you'd want to give someone who's never gone before, but who's signed up, they're going to a conference, and they're going for the experience of understanding how a conference works? So they're not trying to get a booking agent. They're not trying to get a management. That's not it. They're not showcasing. They're just going. So what is a tip or something that you've learned from going to conferences that you would want to tell them or give them?
Your notes app in your phone is your best friend. So, and
yes.
if the conference has an app, that's even better, because you can some of them even have the ability to put notes in, and you can schedule things. So you want to do your research on the panels, and you want to pre-schedule or pre-choose what you think will be most valuable for the information you're needing or the networking you're needing, so you can plan out your thing. Again, allow for flexibility, but you want to make notes too while you're experiencing it, because you will not remember. I'm laughing at myself because I'm famous for this. Yeah. I'll remember this. No,
we also do it to each other. We walk away from conversations where we're like, okay, so like, what was their name?
Yes.
We're like, I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You meet so many people, and then you're like, okay, you know the blonde lady who had the big beaded jewelry on, and you know, and you're trying to, you know, you have a face,
and we're like, and she mentioned there was an opportunity at this festival, so you want to write it down, or
like, what was that festival called?
Yeah. So take a minute and write it down, or just speak it into your phone
when
while
you
you're
walk away
walking.
from each conversation.
Yes.
And it could be like, literally like, Linda, blonde lady, big jewelry.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Festival, whatever. Email next week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it could be a fact
Just
too that
like
you talked
quick
about. You know what I
stuff.
mean? Like if you
that's
ended up
important too.
talking about poisonous frogs for some reason.
Of course, only you.
Only
would have
me.
Only
this
you
I know.
would think of poisonous frogs.
Let's say you just end up talking about this. It's good
And
to
you're
note
both
that.
really passionate about
Both
poisonous
so
frogs.
passionate, because in your email you can laugh and be like, LOL, still have no idea how we got onto poisonous frogs, because then when they read that, they're like, wow, they were really paying attention. They were in that conversation.
It also
They knew
helps
it.
them remember you.
Exactly, because they
Right.
are also meeting thousands of people.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't write anything down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're like, I'm the one that we had weird conversations about poisonous frogs too, they're going to be like, oh, yes, I remember this person.
Yeah.
So they are now putting, like, not only are you remembering them and can mention something, but they are now, it's refresh in their brain who you are.
Yeah. So do the notes, and then when you get home from your conference, take a breath, absorb it all, rest, and then go back through your notes and then make a strategic plan to communicate with people that you want to reach back out to, but give them some time too.
Yes.
And then the major don't that I would say is don't hand people things. Don't bring CDs or, I don't know, merch packs or stuff. Like when industry people are floating through conferences and they're there to buy talent or book talent or whatever, they don't want to be bogged down with stuff. A business card is fine. But anything other than that, just don't expect them to take it. Most people won't take it now. They'll be like, sorry, I just can't carry anything.
Yeah.
And they're traveling too. So
Exactly.
you don't want to burden them with stuff. So that would be my advice.
Yeah.
Oh, agreed. Unless someone specifically asks you for a CD, don't just give it to them, because like exactly what you said, we're not going to be carrying backpacks to load their stuff in, right?
No. And you can always ship it later as another point of
Exactly.
communication or connection with them. So give them time too before you barrage people with emails
Yes.
like the day after the conference, because they're going home to their families and setting back into their offices and stuff. So it's okay to let some time go by. Don't panic. And say, oh my gosh, I need to reach out right now, or they're going to forget who I am. They probably have already forgotten who you are. But that's not the point. The point is you
exactly.
can remind them, but you want to be professional and courteous at all times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam.
All
What
right.
you
My
got?
do is pretty simple. have lots of snacks on hand.
Yes.
That is my opinion.
So
Because eating and like hydrating is so important always, but I find we always have this like plan at the beginning of the day, like, oh, we're gonna have breakfast at this time, lunch at this time, dinner. It like basically never happens because again, you end up running into someone.
Yep.
The panels and the workshops overlap with the officials. Everyone's stuffed in the same hotel that usually has one restaurant or one bar, and everyone's trying to eat or drink around the same times. So you will get meals in and you will do your best to do that, and you should. But it's really helpful if you just either like pop into a grocery store and pick up some like snacky stuff you can keep in your hotel room to tie you over when you're like, yep, lunch isn't happening, but you just like grab a quick snack while running in
bars
between
you throw in
things.
your purse. Like it's just good too because like let's say you're in a panel and you're loving it, but you're so hungry, you're not going to be able to intake as much information. You're going to get tired faster. Like you might get a bit, depending on who you are when you get hungry, like maybe you get cranky, you know, like you don't want to be cranky.
Hangry. The
Get
hanger is
hanger.
real.
The hanger's real, right? So keeping yourself that way, staying hydrated 100%. What's your don't, Sam? What's your don't?
Oh, I think my don't would just be, we've already touched on it, but just not overcommitting yourself.
Yes.
Like, and not being too hard on yourself in that sense. You make a rough plan and then be ready for anything.
Ready for anything.
And if you miss something, you miss something. And don't overcommit also to other artists. You'll see people and they'll be like, my showcase is here, like at this time. And our instinct is to be like, awesome, I'll be there. And you say that to everybody.
This is very pointed, Sam. Very
Are you
pointed.
talking to anybody in specific?
Yeah, I feel like
Maybe,
you're talking directly
maybe.
about me.
Because of course, Jessica Pearson is a lovely, beautiful human being. And when she says yes, she wants to come, she actually really means it. But sometimes she doesn't realize that she can't be in 12 places at once. And that's when like Tara and I are in Jessica's team as not artists and industry people. The advice that we are giving her always
Is
we
stop
know
telling
you
people
actually
you'll be
want to
there.
go to everybody's thing, but so try not to overcommit. Like be
Yeah.
supportive. Obviously, you want to get to as many things as you can, and say like I'll do my best, but don't be like 100%. I'll be there.
100%. See you there. Because when you don't show up, it doesn't look good on you.
Yeah, then it doesn't look good, and it's not that you did it
Exactly.
intentionally or to hurt anyone's feelings.
I will say I did make it.
To most of the ones.
And you
most
do,
of
and
us.
she
Yeah.
runs
You really
around
do. You
like a
run
chicken with
around,
her
yeah.
hair
I do.
head cut off.
But again, it's at that. It's a detriment.
Detriment.
Not a denture. A detriment to me.
And the only thing I would add would be don't underestimate how overwhelming
Yes.
you will feel. And it's not everybody feels that way. It's not you're doing it wrong, but it is so. And if you're somebody who doesn't do well with crowds or a lot of noise, make sure to build in the self-care that you need to get through it.
100%.
Because it can be very overwhelming and you'll never get it all done. And it's years and years of conferencing. Like you have to see it as a very long game. You're not going to, one conference isn't going to move the needle for you.
Oh no, people like artists who started years and decades ago still conference. Like you are going to be conferencing, especially as an indie artist, for basically your whole career. Like that's really where it comes down to. And I think, my do is definitely exactly what you said, Tara, is the making sure you're cutting time into your schedule. Yes, you might miss a panel or a showcase or two, but make sure you're having time for yourself because it's a lot of social interaction. It's a lot of energy spent. So you want to make sure you are taking time for you to readjust, for you to be in that space, even if that means just going to the hotel room, putting on a movie one night and not doing a showcase or just sitting there, or going on a walk, being outside. Like it's good to take time for you to be grounded and to be in your body. And then come back with your best foot forward rather than pushing yourself hard. I've done quite a few and it's taken me a very long time to learn that I don't have to be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
And as artists, we're hard on ourselves. So also putting ourselves in these conference spaces can also be overwhelming from the aspect of if you're someone who goes to then like starting to compare yourself or where you're at in your career to another artist's career from like a respect standpoint, from a standpoint of, oh my gosh, I love what this person's doing. It really seems like they got all like their shit together. Yeah. You know, you can really quickly go into this space if you're not taking care of yourself and checking in with yourself and recalibrating. As artists, like we can be really tough on ourselves, and you go to this place of, oh my gosh, like imposter syndrome sometimes. Yes. Like, what am I even doing here compared to like what this person's doing who like I respect so much, and like, am I ever going to reach that level, you know?
Instead of feeling inspired by what they're doing and to work harder, you get to a point where you're like, I should just give up. Why do I even do this, right?
So those are real things that like you think about or feel, or at least I do when I go to conferences. So and you're in, anyone who's into like energy and stuff, you know, you think you're like FAI, you're in one building with like 1,000 artists. Yes. Think of all like the energy that like that artists carry in terms of the creative energy and emotions, and you have all that energy in one space, and it can be a lot.
Exactly. Okay, well, that's a good chunk to sit with at the beginning, and then we can make you feel even more unqualified for conferences later on in another podcast. But I think that's the big thing, like what you said, like everyone feels the same way going into these conferences. Even like been going to conferences for the past 7 years, and I still get really nervous starting to go back into it and going into conferencing, because you'll just never it's not something you get used to, you know? Okay. So to end, I would like to know what song is in your minds this week. What's that song that you're thriving and jiving to? I like that. Thriving and jiving.
Am I starting?
Yeah, Sam, give it to us.
Okay. Mine is Made Up Mind by the Queen, the quote unquote unknown blues artist, Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, what? Unknown blues Why are you doing quote unquote unknown blues artist?
Because Bonnie Raitt won a Grammy this year.
For songwriter.
And the headline was Unknown Blues Singer.
Are you kidding me?
No, not kidding. Unknown blues singer wins like a Grammy and beats out all these other like.
What publication was this? Are they on Mars?
I mean, I guess it's a sign that we're getting old, ladies.
No.
I don't know. I talked to so many people about that when that came out.
That's someone who didn't do their research.
I was raging.
Oh my God.
I was like, how could anyone say that? Anyways, Made Up Mind, awesome. It also won a Grammy, I think. And Canadian brothers Landreth, Joey Landreth and his brother are writers on that song, so Canada represent. Woo!
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I dig it. It's so, and she even gave them a shout out in her speech. Yeah.
Oh,
awesome. So,
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's great. So check it out. Made Up Mind, Bonnie Raitt.
I love it. Okay, Tara, what song?
Oh gosh,
is taking over your mind space?
I have to be honest, because all I've been listening to is all of you guys, all the artists on the label.
She has no time to listen to
any other
She's
music.
Doing her job.
Okay, so I would have to say I did a deep dive on Noah Dirksen. Recently. Yeah. So amazing Canadian artist. Check him out if you haven't
We
heard
met him at a conference.
We met him at a conference. Yes.
Conference live.
Yes. And so, and that has led to, more opportunities and stuff. And so there is a song on his album and it's called, I'm allowed to swear? It's called Fuck You and All Your Friends Too. Fuck You and Fuck All Your Friends Too.
Fuck You and Fuck Your Friends Too.
Thank you. See, I don't even know the titles. Anyways, it's a really great song and a like the title is misleading in a way.
Yeah.
It's the right lyric and it's perfect and all that stuff, but it makes you think that it's like sort of a novelty type song where it's like this throwaway thing, and it is not. It's actually got a really deep message, and it's just that's the best language that he found to describe the feeling. So that was really cool.
And the vibe of the song is not like you think. Like I hear that title, and I go to like Nickelback, Theory of a Dead Man, like someone just like being like angry and raging. just like a wonderful surprise.
It
wonderful
is.
It really
It's like, and it's just the vulnerability of it and what it feels like
Yeah.
when you break up with somebody, and it's just like, yeah, so really great. Michaela Menzies,
Yeah.
um,
All day, every day.
all day, every day. So Fade Away. See,
Yeah.
what's the title?
well, it's not released yet, that song.
It's coming.
It's coming.
See, because I'm in mix land.
It may be out by the time you listen to this.
Yes,
This is very true.
Yeah, it might be, but it's coming. So, because when I'm in listening mode, it's like I'm listening to mixes and
Yeah.
approving mixes or the master. So,
Yeah.
Bobby Pat has a great album coming out. We just approved the masters.
So it's gone from what song you're listening to this week to Tara promoting her artist.
Promoting
Always
all
an
the
industry
artists.
person
Okay, no,
first. She's doing her job.
There must be a song I'm listening
But
to
it's
that's
true.
not
But I
one
mean,
of my
it's-
artists.
we
Okay,
have-
you do
yeah,
yours.
but that
Let me
is
think.
great. It is great, though.
Go with
No,
it.
that
Really.
counts.
You said Noah
Oh,
Dirksen.
Wannabe.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
listening to yours, Wannabe, all week.
Sam
Who dat
Stone's
girl? Who dat
Single
I've been
Wannabe.
listening to yours, Row, prepping for everything.
She
So,
does
yeah.
actually really like this is all truthful.
Yes,
She loves
exactly.
listening to them.
I really
and
do.
Tara doesn't work with anyone she doesn't actually believe in or love their music. So
It's so true. I'm so lucky.
so that is a very like great
It's-
answer.
yeah, but you answer
Okay.
yours, and I will think of somebody that I don't work with that I listen to.
Well, like you're working with Noah now, but we listened to the song before you started working with Noah.
It's true.
So technically,
Okay,
it still
so that
works.
counts.
You count.
Check mark.
It counts. My song to end this off is it's called "Get My Shit Together" by Summer Overstreet.
Oh my God.
I was just like driving in my car and I had put like my songs on shuffle, all my liked songs. Didn't even know this song was in my liked library, but it was, and it came on and it was like on my way while I was driving to the Canadian Tire Center for work. And I was like, yeah, one day I will get my shit together. And I was so in. I was like, maybe not today, but one day I will. And I've literally been listening to it on repeat now. Because that day will come one day.
That's all, and when you mentioned that,
Yes.
I was like, God, the world is so small because Summer is Paul Overstreet's daughter, and Paul mixed Rosewood's.
I
some
know,
of
when you said
Rosewood's
that, I
work,
was like,
which is another artist on the label.
Damn, this is
promo.
good.
Yeah,
I was like, meant to be. I meant to listen
I
to this
know.
song.
Yeah,
I love
she's
it.
great. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us and jumping on the Syn Wagon. My name's Jessica Pearson.
I'm Tara Shannon.
I'm Sam Stone.
And yeah, we're the Syndicate. We are the Syn Wagon podcast. You can subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to learn more about or hear our opinions on. But like I say at the end of all the podcasts so far, do what you want. But how are we doing? Follow your joy. Do what brings you joy.
Follow your joy.
Follow your joy. Do what brings you joy. We're just here to try and help it be an easier joy finding experience for you. But thanks everyone. We will see you next podcast.
Bye.
Bye.